In the quiet town of Shaker Heights, Ohio, a shocking murder exposed a dark web of secrets and lies within the seemingly perfect McMillan family. Carol McMillan, a devoted mother, was poisoned with cyanide in her own home. But who was behind the deadly betrayal? Her husband Daniel? Her daughter Sarah? Or was it a twisted combination of both? Dive into the disturbing true crime story that shattered the illusion of a perfect family and left an entire community in shock. Shaker Heights, Ohio, a town that looked like something out of a postcard. Wide streets lined with perfectly manicured lawns, friendly neighbors exchanging warm greetings, and a sense of security so deeply ingrained that people rarely locked their doors at night. It was the kind of place where crime was something that happened elsewhere, something you heard about on the news but never expected to touch your own life. But in April 2019, that illusion was shattered. The McMillan family, once admired, once trusted, became the center of a crime so brutal, so deeply unsettling, that it left the entire community questioning everything they thought they knew. And at the heart of it all was Carol McMillan, a woman who had dedicated her life to love, family, and trust. What she didn't know was that the very people she cherished most were hiding secrets that would cost her everything. The McMillan family, a picture of perfection. Carol McMillan was 48 years old, a woman of quiet strength and boundless kindness. She had spent most of her life helping others, volunteering at local shelters, organizing community events, and making sure everyone around her felt loved. But above all, she was a devoted mother. Her daughter Sarah was her greatest pride, a bright, ambitious 19-year-old who had dreams of becoming a journalist. Carol had raised her alone for most of her life, working tirelessly to give her the best future possible. Then came Daniel McMillan, Carol's husband, 16 years younger than her. Their relationship had always been the subject of whispers in town. Some called him lucky, others saw red flags, but Carol always defended him, insisting that their love was real. She had met him at a charity event 5 years earlier, and despite their age difference, they had fallen fast and hard for each other. Daniel was charming, but there was something about him that never sat right with some people. He had a past, one he rarely spoke about. He had bounced between jobs, never quite finding his footing. Carol, blinded by love, never saw the warning signs. Then there was Sarah, smart, independent, and fiercely protective of her mother. She had never fully trusted Daniel. There was always something about him that made her uneasy, but for her mother's sake, she tried to keep the peace. But what Carol didn't know, what no one knew, was that beneath their perfect family image, something sinister was brewing. The betrayal that no one saw coming. Carol had built a life of trust, love, and stability. The day everything changed. April 17, 2019, started like any other in Shaker Heights. The sun peeked through the curtains of the McMillan home as Carol went about her usual routine. She had spent the morning running errands, picking up groceries, mailing a few letters, and chatting briefly with a neighbor about an upcoming charity event. At 2:15 p.m., she walked through the front door, sighing as she set her bags on the kitchen counter. It was a small, familiar routine: unpack the groceries, wipe down the counters, and finally enjoy a cold Diet Pepsi before settling in for the afternoon. But today, something was different. Carol popped open the can, took a sip, and within moments, a strange sensation washed over her. A sharp, unexpected dizziness struck her like a wave. Her fingers tingled. Her heart pounded in her chest. Her legs gave way beneath her. She tried to steady herself against the counter, but the world blurred. the kitchen floor seemed to tilt. A choking gasp escaped her lips as she crumpled onto the cool tile. She reached for her phone. It was just inches away, but her limbs felt heavy. Her breathing turned ragged. Her body refused to obey her mind's desperate plea to move. Within minutes, Carol McMillan was dead. Alone in the heart of the home she had built with love and trust. At 4:30 p.m., Sarah McMillan arrived home. She had spent the afternoon with friends at a cafe, discussing college assignments and summer plans. The moment she stepped inside, a chilling sight stopped her in her tracks. Her mother, motionless, eyes half open, sprawled on the floor. For a second, the world around her froze. Then panic set in. "Mom! Mom!" Sarah shrieked, rushing to her side. She dropped to her knees, shaking her mother's shoulders. No response. Her hands fumbled for her phone as she frantically dialed 911. "My mom's on the floor. She's not moving. Please, you have to help!" She cried, her voice cracking with terror. Dispatchers assured her help was on the way. But deep down, Sarah knew. She had seen enough crime shows, enough medical dramas, to recognize what she didn't want to admit. Carol McMillan was gone. Minutes later, sirens pierced the air as paramedics rushed into the house. They checked Carol's vitals, but there was nothing left to save. At 4:52 p.m., Carol McMillan was pronounced dead. The official cause? Unknown. She had no history of heart disease, no chronic illnesses, nothing that should have suddenly taken her life. Yet here she was, a healthy 48-year-old woman, dead without a single visible sign of struggle. The responding officers noted something odd. The Diet Pepsi can was still on the counter, barely touched. Beside it, Carol's phone, unlocked but with no outgoing calls. Then something even more chilling, the expression on Sarah's face. She was sobbing, but something about it felt off, forced, controlled. One of the paramedics exchanged glances with the lead officer. Something wasn't right. And soon, the secrets hiding within the McMillan family would begin to unravel. When Detective Laura Robitek arrived at the McMillan household, something felt off. The crime scene was eerily calm, too perfect. Carol's body lay in the kitchen, her Diet Pepsi can placed neatly beside her. Nothing was overturned, no sign of struggle. The only thing missing was an obvious cause of death. At first glance, it could have been a stroke or a sudden heart attack, but Robitek had been a homicide detective for over a decade, and her instincts told her to dig deeper. She instructed her team to collect the soda can shower as evidence. Something about it didn't sit right. Then there was Daniel McMillan, Carol's 32-year-old husband. His reaction was strange, almost robotic. He sat stiffly on the couch, answering questions. Without emotion, without hesitation, but also without any real insight into his wife's life. When asked about Carol's daily habits, he struggled to answer. What time did she usually come home from errands? Around this time, I guess. What was her routine after coming home? I don't know. She did her own thing. Did she have any health issues? Not really. I mean, she complained sometimes. Robitek watched him closely. A husband who didn't know his wife's routine? It didn't sit well with her. Then there was Sarah McMillan, Carol's 19-year-old daughter. Unlike Daniel, she was visibly distraught, eyes swollen from crying, hands shaking as she spoke. But as the questioning continued, a troubling detail emerged. A twisted love triangle. As investigators dug into Carol's personal life, and the explosive secret came to light. Daniel had been having an affair. Carol's best friend, Jessica Carter, was the first to break the silence. She admitted that she and Daniel had been secretly involved. "I swear, I never wanted to hurt Carol," Jessica sobbed. "But Daniel said he was miserable, that he was trapped in the marriage. He told me he was going to leave her." But that wasn't the most shocking part. Jessica revealed that Daniel's affections had recently shifted toward someone younger. Someone inside the family. That someone was Sarah. Detectives reviewed Sarah's online activity, searching for anything incriminating. While there was no direct evidence of an inappropriate relationship, the text messages between her and Daniel were suspicious. Late-night conversations, inside jokes, discussions about getting away from everything. One text, sent just days before Carol's death, stood out. "Daniel, just be patient. Soon, we won't have to hide anymore." Had Sarah been manipulated? Or was she a willing participant? The autopsy results confirmed. Carol McMillan had not died of natural causes. She had been poisoned. The cause of death: cyanide poisoning. A toxicology report revealed lethal amounts of cyanide in Carol's system, but how had she ingested it? Detective Robotech immediately thought of the Diet Pepsi can. She sent it for testing, and within 24 hours, lab results confirmed. Traces of cyanide were found in the soda. Someone had deliberately laced her drink with poison. Now, the investigation turned toward Daniel McMillan. When detectives searched his electronic devices, they found a damning trail of evidence. Google searches dating back months included, "How does cyanide kill?" "How much cyanide is lethal?" "Swing" and "How to make cyanide undetectable in autopsy." He had also visited dark web forums discussing how to acquire cyanide without raising suspicion. A purchase receipt showed that he had ordered cyanide under a fake name, with the delivery address listed as his workplace. Daniel had done his research. He knew exactly how much cyanide was needed to ensure a quick, fatal reaction, and he knew Carol's habits. She drank Diet Pepsi every afternoon, so he waited. When the time was right, he poisoned her drink, knowing she would take a sip without hesitation. The plan was cold, calculated, and cruel. But was Daniel acting alone? Cracks in Sarah's story insisted she knew nothing about the poisoning, but investigators weren't convinced. When they examined security footage from a nearby gas station, they found something disturbing. The night before Carol's death, Sarah had purchased a bottle of cyanide remover. When asked why, her response was shaky. I was just curious," she stammered. "I saw something online about poison and panicked. I thought, maybe my mom had been poisoned, so I got something just in case." Detectives weren't buying it. Had Sarah helped Daniel? Did she know about the plan? And if so, why would a daughter help kill her own mother? The arrests. With enough evidence to move forward, police made their move. Daniel McMillan was arrested and charged with first-degree murder on April 26, 2019. Sarah McMillan was taken in for questioning on April 28, 2019. At first, Sarah denied everything, but as investigators laid out the evidence, her suspicious text messages, her gas station purchase, and her knowledge of the poison, she finally broke down. Through tears, she made a shocking confession. "I didn't mean for it to happen like this," she sobbed. He told me we'd be together, that she was in the way. I didn't think he'd actually go through with it." Sarah had helped Daniel acquire the poison, but she hadn't believed he would actually kill Carol. That didn't matter. She was charged as an accomplice to murder. Justice for Carol Daniel McMillan was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. Sarah McMillan, though only 19 years old, was convicted of conspiracy to commit murder and sentenced to 25 years in prison. Jessica Carter, despite her affair with Daniel, was found to have no involvement in the crime. As for the town of Shaker Heights, it would never be the same again. A community once built on trust was now haunted by the realization that evil can lurk behind the most familiar faces. Carol McMillan had trusted her family, and in the end, that trust cost her life. The murder of Carol McMillan changed Shaker Heights forever. A town once known for its serenity became a symbol of hidden darkness lurking behind closed doors. Friends and neighbors questioned their own perceptions of love and trust, but most of all, it left an aching void in the life of a young woman who lost her mother to an unthinkable betrayal. Evil often wears an innocent mask, and sometimes the ones we trust the most are the ones who hold the deadliest secrets. Share your thoughts about this crime story in comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more shocking true crime stories from around the world. Until next time, stay safe and stay vigilant. This is Crime Tales Across Times, signing off.